listening to the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. 4 beer with a sports talk and a whole lot more. We are part of the Belly Up Sports Network. Listen in as Brent and Dave invite you to belly up to the bar with them to talk about everything in the world of sports, just like you would do at your favorite watering hole. It's sports, beer, and shenanigans, so belly up to the bar with us, grab a beverage, and let's get into it.
On this 16th day of March 2023. Tonight's show is brought to you by Manscaped and Manscaped.com. Use promo code 1420SCAPED at Manscaped.com for all of your personal grooming needs today, male and female. You know what? You can use those things for whatever's got going on. Dave, one of those days today, the sun was shining, so was I. One of those days where you almost want to roll the window down. It was just about that close. Roll the window down, put some tunes on, blare it a little bit, no wind blowing or nothing. She was a fucking, like, we're getting old, so we always talk about the weather, but she was a beauty day out there, man.
It was a beautiful day. You know what? I agree. It wasn't nice enough to be outside and enjoying the weather, but it put me in a bit of a mood. And you know what? I apologize. I'm a little bit late getting to us today because, you know, I got home, I poured myself a gin drink and made some supper and talked with my wife. And we were just having a visit like it was outside, but we were inside. The mood was good. Spring is coming. Spring fever is good. It's nice. It's nice to be optimistic.
Yeah, it does get that way. It turns out we're wearing the exact same fucking shirt somehow too, but whatever. It doesn't much matter for people listening on the podcast.
I got my
not
basketball shirt on
and not watching on YouTube later on tomorrow. But yeah, it's funny that when the sun's shining and the like, people bitch about the daylight savings time and everything else like we talked about on Monday night, but when the sun's still shining after work and you can kind of enjoy things a little bit and you're not dark and dreary, how it lightens your spirits a little bit, and the drinks always taste a little better when the sun's shining.
Always. There's still snow on the ground here in Lethbridge, Alberta, but what are you gonna do? It's on its way out. We're looking at the bright side of things, glass half full, even though my brackets are right fucking empty. That's glass half empty. Is a glass 3/4 empty.
Let's before we get into bracket thing, because that's always a fun time of year. For this 3 days of basketball that people actually watch. I've never understood which one is a better scenario. The glass half empty or half full, and hear me out before you give your 2 cents on it. A glass half empty means that I've had a drink of my beverage and I probably enjoyed it. So a glass half empty is a good thing to me, isn't it?
Well, on that way of thinking, for sure, because you've enjoyed a half glass of something.
Yeah.
But like I think the saying comes in the way I think about it is if you order a glass of something and you get it and it's half full, like you haven't even touched it yet. Well, you know, it could be more full.
I guess. I guess
it could be
there's
better.
multiple ways of looking at it, but that one's always kind of puzzled me. And I that's why I don't use that one, because I never know which is which and what to say, because it never makes sense to me. Well, if it's half empty, I probably enjoyed half my drink already.
Well, that's the thing. Can I have some water, please? And they hand it to you, and it's only half full.
Well, see, that would never do. Like, no. Like,
right?
No.
I think that's what it is. Like,
is that what it is?
When you're gifted or handed something, well, not really what I wanted, or you're just going to be grateful for the thing that you asked for and need.
Depends if I paid for it.
Well, no, I don't think payment has anything to do about it. If you're paying for it,
if I'm paying for it, yeah.
If you're paying for it, if you paid for a pint, that fucker, and you get a half a pint.
Oh yeah, that ain't happening.
That's half empty, and I'm sending it right back.
And I'm getting another one on the back end for what they did. Anyways, NCAA basketball, the men's tournament started today and women's tournament started. It's bracketology for everybody who's watches any kind of sports, or if your significant other watches sports or whatever's going on. Everybody anybody has a bracket, and everybody's a basketball fan on this weekend in right across North America and around the world. Everybody has a bracket, no matter who you are. Everybody fills one out. You don't watch a game all season long. You think you know something. You could just what they're calling it. You just pencil whip it, and you can pick teams and whoever can whatever
Tip in
happens.
a chair.
Yeah, whatever. You just go. Done. See you later. You can have it done in 3 minutes, and you have high hopes that you're going to go 16-0 on the first round and everything else. And it never turns out that way, Dave. How's your bracket going so far?
In a word, terrible. I've paid as little attention as I ever have paid in a long time. Not that I'm a college basketball guru or honk, but I didn't watch much. I didn't pay attention much, and then I paid attention enough to know there has been no dominant team this year, which led me to believe that there might be some upsets. I was right. The problem is I picked some upsets on the wrong side of things. I have in one bracket, I have University of Virginia
Done.
and University of Arizona
Done.
They're both gone. I have two Final Four teams out right now. So I'm wearing my Virginia Cavaliers hat in honor of the absolute fucking worst beat I have seen in a long time.
I watched that
go
game
from two. Yeah.
I watched that game this afternoon, and I'm I'm the same as you. I didn't watch as much as I usually do this year. I, for whatever reason, just didn't. But I was watching the end of that game, and I don't even know Furman. I don't even know where Furman is. And I know a guy named Joey Furman from Fort McLeod, but I don't think he's a founder of that university by any means. Joey's a good guy and all, but I don't think Joey. I don't think that this scholastic institution is named after Joey Furman. But it was a 2-point game or a 1 point. It was a 2-point game. And
Virginia was up by 2.
Virginia was up, and they had an inbound. They had the ball in their possession. They had inbound play. All they had to do was it was 2.2 left or whatever it was, or 5. What doesn't much matter? Who cares how much time was left? But all the guy had to do was get possession of the ball. Game was over. And he heated down the court and blah, blah, blah. Interception, pass, open 3, game's over. Like, I couldn't believe what I was watching. Like, I was like, how the hell is that the play that a coach who's getting paid probably a pretty good chunk of change at Virginia, he's getting paid good dough, I'm assuming, how that's the play that they marked up on the old whiteboard and said, yeah, this is what we're doing, boys. Like, what the fuck?
No one in the world drew that up. That's a player just having an absolute brain fart. It makes Chris Webber and his timeout against North Carolina 20 odd years ago look like Mensa. That was so bad. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it when I saw that. I when I was done work, I had a busy day at work, so I couldn't watch anything live. And then when I saw the score and I was like, what? And I went to the Twitter machine, and of course those highlights, that highlight, low light if you're here. You know, after being like, oh my God, and I don't have a vested interest, it's like, fuck, my back is busted. And that was an awful beat. A, I couldn't imagine being a Cavalier fan. And B, that poor bastard has to go to class on Monday.
Maybe not Monday spring break, but yeah, he's got to go back to class pretty soon. He's probably thankful for spring break, and they're going to forget about it right away. They got spring break to forget about it a little bit, but yeah, it's crazy. And it's the one thing about the NCAA tournament that I think we can both agree on a little bit is that if you do have a good first day with your bracket, and all of a sudden you go, 7-1, 8-1, or whatever, because they play 16 games today, or whatever I think it is, and then 16 tomorrow, and then that takes care of your 64. And the first year, this is not the first year, like a few years back, I went 15-1 in the first round. Like, holy fuck, because everybody's like, who's this guy? It didn't last long. It was complete luck. It was complete luck. But you start watching a little bit more, and you follow more, and that's what makes the bracket fun. And this tournament, it's the biggest day in Vegas for sports betting, and the people who pack the sports books. It's an unbelievable event that the NCAA claims they don't make any money on.
Well, they're a nonprofit, so They're in it for the kids.
Yeah. NIL to take care of the kids, not the NCAA. Anyways, we'll get off that thing. No one likes to hear what anybody's brackets that much. Everybody can probably be in the same boat that we are. They laugh about it, they fill out a bracket and don't watch after this weekend anyways, but not all people, a lot of people. Dave, the Aaron Rodgers thing, I don't want to get into because everybody, every podcast, every radio show, every TV show you watch and listen to throughout the last couple of days are talking about it. I have a few takes on it. I don't understand it. I don't get it. How one guy can be holding two franchises hostage a little bit in the sake that I'm playing here, I'm not playing there. And he came out of the darkness or whatever fucking hovel he was in, smoking his peyote or whatever he was doing. And it seems odd to me. He said, "I'm playing here." And that's basically all he said. He won the Pat McAfee show and said, "I'm playing for the New York Jets. I plan on playing for the Jets." Well, you're not property of the fucking Jets, man. So maybe you're not. And maybe the Green Bay Packers are going to be a little bit hostile and say, "You know what? We've been giving you money for a lot of years for one fucking championship, like we talked about the other night." And maybe they're going to say, "We'll decide where you play." How's that sound, Mr. Rodgers? Like, I think that this guy is out of his fucking mind. I really do.
It is one of those things where he's just gotten a little bit too big for his britches. And he gave the Jets list of demands, which they did. They signed Lazard, and he asked him to get Randall Cobb. He asked him to get OBJ. He wants him to sign. And the Jets are doing exactly what Rodgers wants. And you know what? Maybe one of these billionaire owners should just say, "Hey, tap the fucking brakes here. Who's running this goddamn show?"
And that's
because I don't remember the Aaron Rodgers being on any paychecks that anybody brought home last year.
And that's what I was I'm hoping you would agree with me a little bit on this. Is that yeah, he's owed $60 million or whatever it is over the next 2 seasons or whatever it is from Green Bay. And what if Green Bay just said, "All right, you don't play for us then"?
Well, and
Don't play
sign
then.
here. Yeah, sign here. You're not going to play for us next year, and we're in charge now. We'll tell you. Like, if the Houston Texans want for you, and they're going to give us the best package,
and they'll give us the better draft picks. They'll give us this, because now
then saddle up, motherfucker.
Because
You're going to Houston.
Now Rodgers has actually hamstrung the Jets by saying, "I'm only playing for the Jets."
Mm-hmm.
So now Green Bay can say, "Okay, well, we want him and him and him and him and him."
Green Bay as a franchise now owns all the chips,
all of it,
right? Yeah. Like you have decided that you want our product, and now this is what we want for our product, and our product has decided that he doesn't want to supply his services to us, so we're going to give his services to the person that's going to do the best for us. And you know what?
And if he says no, all right, well, then don't play.
Yeah, then don't play. Take a zero, right? That saves everybody a lot of fucking money.
I don't know who,
now.
Yes, he's a 4-time MVP, whatever it is, blah, blah, blah. His football DB, whatever they call it, because it's a hockey DB, obviously. His football DB card says he's one of the greatest ever with his stat line and on and on and on. But he has the one championship. And to go to a place like New York, I think if he did go there, he'd have a rude awakening if he tried to pull this kind of shit with the New York media and the New York fan base, which is not as forgiving. I think that guy should just shut up. Like, he should just shut up. And he's put a real sour taste in my mouth with not pro athletes so much, but quarterbacks. I'm a quarterback hater this week, as our show explained on Monday. I don't understand these guys, because I can't think, Dave, and we can get on that in a second. I can't think of another athlete in another sport that has tried to pull this shit and get away with it. The people go, "Well, yeah, it's because he's a quarterback. He can't." I can't. Like, he's not even the greatest of all time. He's not. Like, he doesn't rank in the Jordan, Gretzky, Brady hierarchy. Not even fucking close. He doesn't rank in the Jeter hierarchy. He doesn't rank in those kind of things. And for him to be making these demands for a team he doesn't even play for, when another team still owns his rights, no. No, man, you're still an employee. Fuck off. That's
yeah, he went right NBA on this one, right? Like, because when you say Jordan stuff, like that made me like, like this is exactly he's taking a page out of the NBA playbook, and he thinks he can decide. And I'm not saddened by it, but I was a Rodgers fan for a long time. The
Last
last
few years,
decade.
he's kind of, since we
Yeah.
started this podcast, he's really started to shake me up the wrong way.
Exactly. If you want me to get hook my cart to your train, I want you to conduct yourself accordingly. And he has not. He's been so selfish. His play on the field has been stellar, which is so the skill set that he has is so special. But you know what? I don't want you to be special between the ears. Because
he's almost special like Olympics. I hate saying that, but
you bet, because you're he's detracting so much from his legacy with his mouth, right?
And that matters more, especially when you have the one championship.
For sure.
People,
right?
you know what? You're only as good as your last game. And I had an old hockey coach tell me that, and we lost our last game. So it's like, oh yeah, that's a good point. You're only as good as your last game, and people will remember what happened. If you don't keep winning and winning, in which he hasn't done, yes, he has the stat lines to prove it, but people remember all-time greats for their championships, not stat lines. And by this guy harming his legacy by opening his yap and making these demands on a yearly, like a weekly basis almost, like it's like, and what's the end result for the Jets? They got to go through to get if he does go to the Jets, do they go through it again next year? Yeah, I don't want to play here either.
Well, he had that Super Bowl so early in his starting. Like, sure, he had 2-3 years having to play underneath Favre, but then once Favre was gone, then he won that Super Bowl 2 years in. And
it is Favre. Like, I don't know how
that's a little homage
to
Something About Mary. But nonetheless,
remember that Calgary Stampeder quarterback Greg Vavra?
Vavra, yeah.
Do you remember him?
I remember the name.
I don't remember. I think he was number 7 or 8.
He
was a quarterback, I think. Greg Vavra.
I think that would have been like 25 years ago, buddy.
Oh, it's 40. It's like 35 years ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
A long time ago.
But nonetheless, once he took over from Favre, it was he got that one, and then the expectations were high, and he kept a high level of play his entire career. Ridiculous high level of play, and not that good in the playoffs, right? He had a little bit of Peytonitis, and that happens, but don't hold your franchise hostage by doing the shit he's doing, right? The expectations are there. They can see how good you are. They know how good you are. And you're now just lifting your leg and pissing all over that fire hydrant. And you know what? You ain't that big a dog anymore. And let's see how you do in wherever Green Bay trades. I really hope they trade him to someone like to Dallas or
I hope they say, you know what? You don't want to play here? We're going to make you play here, or you can retire. How's that sound? Sit in the sidelines and have a Guinness for all we have a bratwurst in the sidelines with the cheese heads. Because if you don't want to play here, stand on the sidelines and freeze your ass off. We ain't going to play you. Because you know what? We have money. Who cares? Well, I'm the big dog here. We lost. We paid you to lose. We'll pay to lose. Fuck you. Stand on the sidelines. Who cares?
Yeah, well, you can't, because that salary cap is going to hamstring.
But they paid him last year to lose. Do it again.
No, I get it, but they can't sign other players if he's going to be on the sideline.
But if he's going, he's already said, I'm not playing for you. Well, we lost paying you, so who cares? Like, don't change anything.
No, yeah, I hope Green Bay bends him over a barrel and spanks him like kind of like the dungeon in Pulp Fiction. Right?
Let's not go that deep, but yeah, bring out the gimp, I guess, is one of those things.
Yeah, bring out the gimp. Aaron, you don't want to play here anymore? Okay, bring out the gimp. Yeah, bring out the gimp.
No
Yeah.
loop. Watch this. And
There you go.
I was listening to our main man Jim, the fan of the van, this morning, and he was talking about, because he's closer to our age than he is to Aaron and JD at Bruliana Sports, their age, and he was talking about how the business of sport has kind of not ruined it, but it's how it's changed things so much. And this is kind of the
Soured it
situation.
a bit.
It's soured it, and like, I'm not talking about how much people make, because it's the business and their employees, but the way these athletes are nowadays is that they really think that they're they are entitled, and they think that they're indisposable. And we talked about a lot on our show, Dave, is that the business of sport has soured things, where these guys think nowadays that, well, this team will never survive without me. You know what? They will. They will, and they always will. Whereas back when we were growing up, back in the 80s and into the 90s, but then they started disclosing how much players got made, and that's when things got that's how things got changed around, especially in the National Hockey League. But when players weren't making a bunch of money, they were thankful just to be in the league, and they didn't know how long they were going to be there. And some guys, I wouldn't go as far as saying, especially like in the 80s, but in the 70s, guys had second jobs just to make ends meet and everything else, because owners were really raping these guys across the country, and owners weren't making as much money either. But the way these guys just think that this franchise needs me, this league needs me. No, they don't. And these guys need to take a step back and go, whoa, maybe I'm not that good. Because you know what? If you broke your leg or broke your arm and couldn't play tomorrow, the league would still go on. And you know what? All these teams, you would just be another employee for, and people will still go and watch no matter what. People have your jerseys and have your posters on the wall and everything else, but you know what? You're just an employee. You're just another fucking player. And these players need to start realizing this. And I hope that owners start sticking up for themselves and for the fan bases more so than letting these players walk all over them.
Will never happen. Will never happen. I've said it all the time. I'm always going to be on the player's side, and if they want to act like assholes, that's up to the fans to decide if they're going to buy their jersey, if they're going to want them on their team. It's up to them, and it's no different, aside from salary, than a plumber, than an electrician. If you're the best one and you want me to work on your job, then it's going to cost you this much money. And then the owner of the house, the contractor, is going to say, yes, please come and work on this house, because I know you're the best woodworker. I know you're the best carpenter. I know that you're the best fucking shingler, whatever. That's the same as it is with football. We got to think of these men as journeymen, as skilled tradesmen. And the day I feel bad for owners.
Dave, I don't think these guys are thankful to have a job. I don't. I think that they're so entitled that they think that, because they don't need to do anything after their careers are over. They don't. Well, whereas guys when we were growing up, Dave, guys would actually need to do something else when they were done their careers in 1985. They would.
But I like
these assholes don't.
Because the owners were making money hand over fist. And why are you always on the owner's side? I'll never understand that. How the billionaires owning the stadium, filling their pockets, and just trying to keep as much money as they can from the hired help, which is the actual product. Just because 10% of the actual product wants to be assholes and walk around like a bunch of prima donnas doesn't make the owners right. Because you know what every collective,
but guys like Rodgers don't make the players right. Guys like this asshole don't make the players right at all.
But it's always going to happen. Does Dan Snyder make all the owners right? No. And you know what? Every collective bargaining agreement in every single sport matters, is because owners have to be protected from themselves.
100%.
That's why there's salary caps. That's why there's no guaranteed money in the NFL. That's why there's salary caps, because you get teams like in the NHL, like the Rangers and the Detroit Red Wings, who just kept spending money, and like all the small market teams didn't have a chance to compete. Now, at least in the NHL and in the NBA, small market teams do have a chance to compete. It's assholes like the owner of the Pittsburgh Pirates, like the Marlins, like the Rockies, like the Arizona Diamondbacks. They don't give a fuck. They know they're not going to win, and they're not going to spend the money to
I
win.
agree. I agree with you. I agree with you on that.
So like, why are you coming down I get it, but it's the best players that seem to go off a percentage of the players, like Antonio Brown, like Le'Veon Bell, like fucking Terrell Owens. Like these are the ones that like now Aaron Rodgers, right? Just making themselves trying to be bigger than the game. I'm not going to impugn the players because of a couple ass cracks like Aaron Rodgers. Like I on that.
I'm not saying on a collective, Dave. I'm saying that there is a percentage of these guys who think that they're bigger than the fucking game, and they're not, and they're just not.
Well, and then that's going to be a lesson they learn, and like it's up to the owners and people signing their paychecks.
Well, I hope that I really hope that happens with this fucking Rodgers character. They say, you know what, we lost with you playing on the field, sit in the sidelines. We'll lose with you watching from the fucking sidelines.
Yeah.
Like we'll lose with you. I can't think of any athlete in the past who would make these kind of demands, and it's like Wayne Gretzky would never have done that.
Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, that's two Pittsburgh Steelers who have done the exact same fucking thing, but they weren't league MVPs, right? They did the exact same fucking thing to the Steelers, and then Antonio Brown did it to the Raiders, and then he did it to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Right.
To say I'm only playing here, and then I need this guy, I want this guy, and a team you're not even playing with, this guy, and then I'm going to go, and I'm going to like Wayne Gretzky.
It happens all the fucking time, dude.
Where to who?
I just gave you two
NFL guys again, right?
Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant.
Okay, but I'm talking.
Kevin Harden.
But I'm talking like 20, 30 years ago, Dave. That would never have happened.
Oh,
never.
20, 30 years ago. Probably Eric Lindros. And that was before he even laced him up as a professional.
Well, but on that, I'm not. He worked out for the Nordiques, which ended up being the Avalanche.
That's a lot of worse to say. You're right, Dave.
But you're not right. He actually told the team, "I'm not going. Don't draft me." Like that's a big difference. He said, "Don't draft me. I'm not going."
Okay, how about Paul Coffey in Edmonton then?
Fill me in. Maybe I'm just drawing a blank.
Don't you remember Paul Coffey told Glenn Sather, "I'm not playing here anymore," and then he ended up dealing him to the Pittsburgh Penguins.
But that's saying I'm not playing here anymore. I don't want to play here anymore. It's not saying trade me here because I want and get this guy. Like he never went and said trade me to Pittsburgh and then make sure that you get this guy. That would never have happened 30 years ago. Because in the National Hockey League 30 years ago, you know what they said? You're going to fucking Quebec. Watch this.
Yeah, and you're right. And I'm struggling for other comparables. But you know what? Like Kevin Harden or the Beard Harden, who was playing for the Rockets, where they bent over backwards. James Harden, and they did everything in their fucking power to deliver him a championship, to make him the man. And he dropped the ball.
It just seems in the last 5 to 8 years, it's just been fucking. These guys are just like, holy fuck, who the fuck are you?
Who the fuck are you? And and I get it, and that's a problem. But I'm never going to get on the side of the owners on this one. I don't mind, the fan base. The fan base. Could you imagine the bonfire they're going to start in Wisconsin with those number 12 jerseys? They are going to be everywhere.
You know what? I think they're gold.
It might
get out of here, man.
Yeah, it might contribute to global warming. The amount of jerseys going to get burnt.
Yeah.
It's going to make LeBron leaving Cleveland for Miami look like a fucking marshmallow roast.
Yeah, it's a bad look on him, and like I said, I don't understand it. It's just, and the thing is that on the Jets end of things, let's say that they do go out and get him, mortgage the future, and they have a good team. They didn't score many points this season, and on and on and on. But one guy a team does not make it can help obviously, but what you insert player here doesn't ever work.
Oh no,
it doesn't ever work.
Particularly in the AFC, right? Like I can.
He's still the fourth best quarterback in that division.
Well, not in the division. He's better than Mac Jones. He's better than whoever Miami's going to. But in the AFC, yeah, you're right. in the conference, not division.
The conference. Sorry.
Yeah, like it makes a lot more sense to me for him to try and go to San Fran, right? Like get in the NFC, because the AFC is so tough. You're not the Jets. I don't care. Like you can't recreate. Sooner or later they're going to start calling penalties on Sauce Gardner for every single pass interference.
Yeah,
I think that fucker's a one overrated guy. And in this vaunted defense, you can't recreate that shit.
You know, we try not to, but I think it's kind of humorous, Dave. The whether you're a vaccine anti-vaxxer, I could give a fiddler's fuck. I really could. I wonder if Mr. Aaron Rodgers realized that the owner of the New York Jets is the Johnson & Johnson company. I'm just curious. I'm just curious if Mr. Rodgers knows that the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is like the owner of the Jets. I'm just curious about that. He's such a cocksucker. He is such a fucking cocksucker. Like enough. And
then does New York State still have the laws? Because I remember Kyrie Irving.
No. Yeah, that went away. Yeah, that went away.
Because Kyrie Irving could go to
play and
to the Nets game as a spectator, but not as a player. So I was like, okay, and I don't know that, but like you fucking
hypocritical prick.
Which is too bad, because I really admired the way that guy played the game, and I love watching him play. It's too bad he's such an absolute ass crack.
Nozzle of the month, year, week.
Nozzle of the decade, and we're
like
only
just
2 years
we're 2.5 years in now, and he's a dickhead.
He's a leader,
dickhead. Yeah. And why a guy would want that in the locker room? We'll get off this in half a second here. But like I said, you can't just insert player A here and expect a championship. It all has to work, man. You have to have a cohesive locker room, no matter what sport it is. And if Buddy comes in demanding the world, the guys who block for him might be like, who the fuck is this guy? Might ole a few times, like, okay, this is how we do things here in Jetland. Like it's just like.
Yeah, this is how we do things in Jetland. But it's such a futile fucking franchise, right? They haven't won.
Well, but they were close last year. If they had a quarterback last year, if they would have had an average, if they
didn't have a quarterback last year. I
said if they would have had a decent quarterback, they might have done some damage. If they would have had Jimmy Garoppolo, a serviceable quarterback who doesn't make mistakes, they're right there. That's all they needed.
Yep.
No, they're gonna get dickhead fucking Rodgers now. Yeah.
Well, time will tell. I hope Green Bay bends New York over and makes them pay way more than they want.
And he breaks his ankle first fucking snap of the year.
I will never wish on injury.
I wouldn't. I do.
No, I don't.
It's Thursday. I'm besmirching on Thursdays.
That's not besmirching. That's a little nasty.
I don't care. I didn't say like a horrible, like life-threatening, but a career ender, like because he's old, right?
Yeah. Well, no, let's not call it a career ender. I hope he fails. I hope he plays all 17 games, and I hope he is middle of the pack. I hope he's just an average. I hope and
you know what I hope even more? The Packers win a playoff game without him.
I hope he puts up Phillip Rivers numbers and has a Phillip Rivers season.
Anyways, the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, 4 beer, sports talk, and a whole lot more, brought to you by Manscaped and Manscaped.com. Use promo code 1420skate at Manscaped.com for all of your personal grooming needs today. Summer's coming, kids. You might as well get all trimmed up and ready to go. There you go. I don't know.
And if you learn anything from this conversation, don't go out of your way to be an asshole.
Okay? It's not hard.
If you want to be an asshole, but don't go out of your way to let people know you're an asshole.
Don't let the world know.
Fuck Aaron Rodgers, you're an asshole.
Yeah, you are an asshole. You just listened to the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. 4 beer with sports talk and a whole lot more. We are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Let's get into it.